What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, UFC, legendary, iconic, superstar, former, retired, world champion. He's retired, undefeated, 27-0. KHABIB, can't pronounce his last name, but he goes in on why he turned down retired, legendary, former pound-for-pound king, former pay-per-view king, superstar, Hall of Famer, Floyd Money Mayweather's $100 million exhibition or $100 million fight. Why he turned it down? He said initially he looked at it, and money is always good. Money can help. He says, but Floyd Mayweather and the way he does things, he was going to lure me into his world, and I don't want to change who I am. It's not about the money. It's about the purity of the sport, and it's about competing. And yes, money comes along with it, but not just doing it solely for the money. So KHABIB, he said he didn't want to disrespect the sport of boxing. So he stated he was not going to enter the sport of boxing. He says, initially he said to himself, well, I dropped Conor McGregor. You couldn't hurt him, so make the fight happen. And everybody was on board. And Floyd Mayweather, he already had everything set up with CBS, with Showtime, with the PBC, and everybody involved. And Dana White, UFC's president, he was already on board. Everybody was on board. And KHABIB said he sat and he turned it down. He thought to himself, money changes people. Look how this man is. Look at his lifestyle. That's all he's about is money. There's no more purity. And a lot of people look at Floyd Mayweather in that light as well. Right? Floyd Mayweather, he re-nicknamed himself Money. He used to be Pretty Boy Floyd the first half of his career. Then he changed his name to Money Mayweather. Around the time when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, around that time is when he started calling himself Money Mayweather. And that became his persona. As of late, recently, his legendary rival and 8 division world champion, iconic superstar Filipino boxer Manny Pacquiao, as Manny Pacquiao put it, he says, Floyd Mayweather continues to tell people that I'm fighting through ranking system because I need the money. He says, no, I'm fighting for my legacy and the purity of the sport of boxing because I love the sport of boxing. He's fighting for money in exhibition bouts against YouTubers. So at the end of the day, we're still looking to gain a check, but I'm looking to fight the best in my sport and uplift my sport. And he's just looking to collect a check regardless of who's standing across the ring from him. And that makes a lot of sense when Manny Pacquiao put it in that perspective, because it is a thing of, well, we know Floyd Mayweather is 2 years older than Manny Pacquiao, so he's 44 going on 45 years of age. He's retired undefeated. A lot of people look at his last fight, his 50th win, as a non-victory, and they look at it as he's 49-0 because he fought Conor McGregor, who never competed in the sport of boxing, and he beat Conor McGregor to become 50-0. But Conor McGregor has 0 fights in the sport of boxing when they fought. So how is that counted as an official boxing match when you fought a guy who's not even a prospect, not even a contender, never been a world champion, never fought for a world title? He's not a boxer. He's a combat athlete in his respective discipline, but he's not a boxer. So KHABIB, he stated the same thing. He said, I didn't want to disrespect the sport. I have fans in the sport of boxing that love me and support me. I didn't want them to turn on me by going and collecting $100 million check, facing off against what is considered to be the best fighter in the world, or TBE, the best ever, in his respective discipline, and I'm simply doing it for a check because most people look and say, I really don't stand a chance. So I'm here for the money. So he said, I didn't want those fans to turn on me, the pure fans that I have. So I turned down the $100 million. Everything was set in stone already. I turned it down. I couldn't have myself compromised. I couldn't have who I am change. He said, money will change you, and all you have to do is look at Floyd Mayweather. Well, when you look at Floyd Mayweather and the persona of Floyd Mayweather, now I'm sure there's things that Floyd Mayweather does for a lot of people behind the scenes. But financial gain seems to be his motive in everything he does in life. And so KHABIB is saying he didn't want that to be his motivation. We know KHABIB has standards that he stands on, okay? Principles that he stands on. He's retired from the sport of the UFC, mixed martial arts, because he promised his mother in the prime of his career that when he lost his father and his trainer, that he would no longer fight. So after his last fight, he upheld his promise and he retired at his absolute prime, at the apex of his career, where he stood to make the most money ever with rematches and future fights. And he opted to go a different route and say, listen, I can't do it. I got to show my mother and keep my word and show her the respect and dignity and follow that, what I said, and I'm no longer going to fight. And he hasn't fought since. He's kept his word thus far. So he says he stands on things and principles that Floyd Mayweather doesn't. You know, Floyd Mayweather's motivated by the decimals, right? How many numbers? 7, 8, 9, 10 figures. That's what motivates Floyd Mayweather, okay? And so KHABIB says they continued to call me, to pursue me for a showdown, and I continue to turn them down. And ultimately, it's because I didn't want the money, I didn't want to turn into what Floyd Mayweather is. That speaks volumes. Those are very, very strong words, because there's a lot of young people that come behind Floyd Mayweather and they don't respect the sport of boxing due to the fact that all they know is the Money Mayweather persona. They don't know about Pretty Boy Floyd because a lot of these fighters wasn't even born in that era. Okay? They weren't, and if they were too young to know who Pretty Boy Floyd was. So, with that said, a lot of fighters today are following the Money Mayweather blueprint. They're not fighting the best fighters out there in their division or around the division. They're only looking simply to get the highest payday they could get, regardless of the level of competition they're facing. And Floyd Mayweather, even as a promoter, is showing, right, how he's moving his fighters, because it's not for legacy, it's for checks. And yes, Floyd Mayweather is somebody that makes sense when he says you cannot eat legacy, you cannot eat belts. But there comes a time where there's enough is enough, right? When you have a certain amount of money, you have no more money. And what I mean by that is you don't have a bottom line anymore. You can do whatever you so choose, essentially, in life. You could get what you want in life without having to be a triple billionaire. You could be a multi-millionaire and get whatever you want and do whatever you want and see whatever you want in life. You don't need to be a billionaire 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times over. Right? At some point in time, it becomes greed. Okay? It takes over. It takes control. And you lose sight of what's important. Okay? And things start to become materialistic, right? Your life starts to become materialistic, right? You start to focus on only materialistic things. Not that materialistic things are a bad thing, but it becomes the focal point of your life instead of enjoying the fruits of your labor and living happy with the people you love around you. So, with that said, KHABIB says that it's a fear of his, right? Because you get a certain amount of money and you lose who you are. And essentially, he did not want to become that of Floyd Mayweather. So he says all the times they continued to call him and offer him $100 million or upwards of $100 million, he continued to turn them down as many times as they offered it. And everything was already set in stone, according to KHABIB. He says that everybody was on board. We were getting ready to start working on dates and things of that nature, the details in the contracts. And he said he sat with himself and he told himself, do I want to become that of Floyd Mayweather or anybody else who's motivated by money? He says, I made a good living. I'm living a good life, living out my dream, and I love the purity of the sport that I compete in. I love the fans in the sport of boxing that support me, and I don't want to upset those fans, so I'd rather just stay pure to myself and to those fans. That's amazing. That's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Oh, it is your boy Jada Kiss. Make sure you check out Blue Blood Sports TV. It's going down.